What is good, y'all, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Movie Talk. This is going to be a new segment we're going to do every Monday, and I have a tie-in every Sunday. If you haven't looked at it already, I did a little training day skit because we're going to be talking about Denzel today. I did a training day skit with my cat that I posted yesterday, so I'll leave that up here, I guess, and at the end of the video. I don't know how that works. Off of that. No, I do know how that works. Anyway, so this is going to be a little bit different than before. Before I used to do just straight on movie review. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about a certain subject, actor, director, maybe something going on, maybe a rant I need to go on, which I'm going to tie in. That's going to be next week. This is going to be a little bit more positive and more of a tribute to a great actor. Next week I have something planned where it's kind of a great actor making not so good decisions. Anyway, and then we're going to do a review. So the new movie that came out is The Little Things. If you want to skip to just the review of this video, I'll leave the timestamp below. But first, the subject matter we're going to be talking about today is one of the greatest actors of all time. Now, the title is a little bit clickbaity. I'm not a big fan of calling anybody the greatest anything. It comes up in sports a lot, movies, whatever. I think great is very subjective to the era that the person watching the movies in, the type of movies people like. People that might, for example, people might like more lighthearted movies, might say Tom Hanks is a better actor than Denzel Washington. People that like the more gritty roles would gravitate toward Denzel. That's where I stand. So how we're going to do this, I'm just going to run through the IMDb as far as the movies I've watched. If there's any that I don't mention that you've seen, please recommend them down below. And I have a little story to tie in, and I'm going to do a little ranking of those movies at the end before we get into the review of the new movie, The Little Things. So let's get started. Alright guys, so first we're going to kind of go through the acting resume and just have my opinion on everything. So Denzel kind of got his big break into acting that opened up other doors for him when he was on a show called St. Elsewhere. Now, St. Elsewhere was like the Grey's Anatomy of the 80s or the ER. You know, there's always been there's always a romantic a show at a hospital where there's always romance going on. He was in that of the 80s, and he was the biggest actor. Like the Clooney or what's on Grey's Anatomy? McSteamy or whatever. One of those heartthrob guys. He was that of St. Elsewhere, except big difference with him and George Clooney. No disrespect to George Clooney, but he had the acting chops, and it was just a matter of time before he would get his break. And his first big break that he got was in a movie called Glory, which was about the first African-American infantry unit in the Civil War. Now I know what you're thinking. Why were they fighting in the Civil War if they were just these people were trying to free them from slavery? Why were they in the Civil War? That's kind of a part of the movie that is a bit of the hypocrisy, and that ties in with Denzel's character. So I'm not going to go into every movie, but Glory is a big one because he won Best Supporting Actor for that. So we're going to take a moment there, and it's his first, big movie. So he plays opposite Morgan Freeman. Now they're both in the infantry unit. Morgan Freeman is kind of the older guy. When has he not been the older guy? What am I saying? Has Morgan Freeman ever been the younger guy? I feel like he's been at least 50 plus since forever. But he's kind of I'm going along with it. What else are we gonna do? Phase. And Matthew Broderick, who played Ferris Bueller, he is the commanding officer. Now I'll just tell one scene from the movie. Denzel plays like the rebellious soldier. He's trying to run away. He's trying to escape a lot. He tries to escape from the camp that they're at, and then they're lashing him. Now they're trying to free the slaves. Why are you lashing? I'm not going to get into it. They're kind of still treating them like that. Again, part of the hypocrisy of the movie. If you like historical movies, this is a great one. Anyway, in that scene where he's getting lashed, they tear off his shirt, and his back is completely tore up. You can see that he's always been the one to question. He's been like the rebel of the group. He's always had that mentality, and he's getting lashed, and you can tell like he's one of those. He plays a character where he has a tough exterior, but you can tell down deep he is hurting. He's going through something. And in this scene, while that's happening, he's looking at Matthew Broderick, his commanding officer, and he's just staring at him. He's got that trembling face, trying not to cry, and then just one tear comes down. And that was a moment in his career. I think he knew as an actor, I have to lock in and crush this. This is a big budget movie. This is an Oscar movie. Morgan Freeman's in it. Ferris Bueller is in it. I Need to Crush It. He knocked it out of the park, won Best Supporting Actor. Glory, I saw that in high school for the first time. I've watched it a couple times since. Not the most rewatchable movie, but because it's kind of harsh, heavy material, but it's undeniably a great movie, and he absolutely deserved the Oscar that year. I'll talk about the Oscar and another thing, but I generally don't agree with them. This one is one I definitely agree on. So I got the computer up here, so I'm going through the IMDb. I'm not going to go with too much of a story with a lot of these. We got Mo Better Blues. Spike Lee saw him in Glory, saw him in St. Elsewhere. He was big off Do the Right Thing, so he needed to get a muse, a guy that he can use in his movies, that's going to be around for a while, that has great acting chops, and then he locked him in with Mo Better Blues. Mo Better Blues is about like a jazz singer. He plays opposite Wesley Snipes, just kind of ebbs and flows of a career. Nothing earth-shattering. Then, and this is what I'm talking about. Glory was 89, and then Malcolm X was 92. So in a 3-year span, he's doing 2 of the biggest roles. Glory was tremendous. That was a setting point. And then he did Malcolm X. Knocked it out of the park with Malcolm X. He's basically playing 3 different characters in Malcolm X. Now, if you have not seen Malcolm X, you need to either right now or after this review. That's probably the most important movie that I'm going to talk about here. Now, there's other movies that I like more, that are more rewatchable, but Malcolm X is probably the most important movie here. So he plays young Malcolm when he's in the style, he's kind of pimp. He hadn't really been tapped into his true nature as a charismatic leader. And then it's also when he goes to Mecca and he comes back and he's got the charisma and the intelligence now refined with his true spirituality after he went to Mecca as a Muslim. But yeah, Malcolm X knocks it out of the park. Probably the best performance on this list. Let me check if he won the Oscar for that. So I just had to verify in IMDb. He did not win Best Actor for Malcolm X, but he was nominated. I mean, that's the Oscars. That's the thing about the Oscars. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a mini rant here. They give you an award and they don't really want to give you too much, even though you might deserve it. And he was in a period where he absolutely deserved it. All right, so let's keep going down the list here on his filmography. Then after Malcolm X, he kind of gets in this period of resume building, which is fine. I get it. He's in a lot of decent movies, good movies. Philadelphia, he plays opposite Tom Hanks. That was kind of like a Magic and Bird moment of what was to come. These were going to be the 2 guys of the future. They were in the same movie together. It was more of a Tom Hanks style family, that type of movie. So Tom Hanks kind of won that movie, so to speak, if that's what you want to call it. But you were kind of seeing Magic and Bird together because their runs they went on in the 90s and early 2000s is unmatched. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, you got, and in that run of just resume building, Crimson Tide, Devil in a Blue Dress, Preacher's Wife, all good movies, nothing really earth-shattering, but some good flicks in there. One of my favorites he did in '98. Is this where the run starts? Yeah, this is where the run starts, in my opinion. I mean, I guess you could call it Preacher's Wife, maybe that being the start. I'm gonna call it He Got Game. I'm gonna start there. You could start earlier. Preacher's Wife in '96. He Got Game. He's the dad of an up-and-coming basketball star, high school basketball star, Ray Allen. He's let out of prison because the prison guy, the warden's trying to get to recruit his son to go to his school. It's just, I mean, there's some filler stuff in there. There's some romantic stuff that's not needed. Again, another Spike Lee movie. A good sports movie. Ray Allen's clearly an actor in it, but Denzel was like, listen, this is how you act. And there's a great scene at the end when Ray Allen and Denzel are playing basketball. That's a fun movie. If you like father-son type stuff, He Got Game is a great movie. Again, another great Spike Lee movie. He's one of my favorite directors, which we'll talk about another day. All right, now here we go. Listen to this run. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single one of these movies. We'll go back. I'm just going to go through the run with you. He Got Game, The Siege, Bone Collector, The Hurricane, Remember the Titans, Training Day, John Q, Antoine Fisher, Out of Time, Man on Fire, The Manchurian Candidate, Inside Man, Deja Vu, American Gangster, The Great Debaters, never seen it, Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3 remake, The Book of Eli, and where I think it stops is Unstoppable. Now that is from '98, and Unstoppable was 2010. That's a 12-year run. I mean, you can debate the movie after that. I have a little Denzel story, not Denzel story, but a story that's obviously blatantly connected to him. But I mean, in that run, that's ridiculous. Inside Man, my second favorite Spike Lee movie. Remember the Titans. That was kind of a layup. You know, he's just he played that perfectly. If you like the more family, the more warm movie, the Disney movie, he was perfect for that role. Bone Collector, kind of a side character in that movie, doesn't really have a lot to do. He's confined to a bed the whole movie, but still great movie. What else we got? Training Day. We're gonna get into that. Well, let's just get into it right now. Training Day. I did, as I just mentioned, I did a skit on that with my cat. It's one of my favorite movies. This was he's one of those guys I said, because I got into movies around this time, so I was into watching Denzel movies. Now I didn't see him opening night. I'm going to talk about that in a second again, but I was interested in his movies. Training Day, I was like, this guy has never played a bad guy, and I had the same issue with Tom Hanks, except he has still never played a bad guy. We're not going to talk about personal stuff, but he kind of plays a bad guy in real life. But Training Day is just a very gritty movie, and he taps into it perfectly right from Jump Street. The skit I did was on the diner scene, but there's everything in that movie. He plays it perfectly. He plays a detective who's grinding. He's friends with the people and the drug dealers. He's friends with the criminals. He's friends with the bad cops. He's friends with the corrupt cops. He's trying to balance everything. Gets an ego about him because he has a little bit of power, and power corrupts. And he plays that perfectly. It all comes full circle. Yeah, I'm not spoiling anything with Training Day, but it all comes full circle, and he gets his due. I would have loved to see a sequel. Just, you know, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but there's an ending that you could kind of be like, oh, well, this didn't happen. I would have loved to see the Training Day sequel. He put Ethan Hawke is in there as well. Ethan Hawke does great, but Denzel knocks it out of the park. Knocks it out of the park. Man on Fire. Tony Scott directed that. Great movie. Man on Fire. He's like playing the girl's kidnapped. He's like a bodyguard. Very fun Tony Scott movie. Book of Eli, very spiritual movie. Yeah, that's just an incredible run. I mean, American Gangster. One of my favorite scenes. Not my favorite Denzel scene, but one of my favorite scenes. He goes out to the breakfast with his family, right? And then he just gets up when he sees somebody owes him money, goes out in the street, point blank, does that, goes right back to breakfast. Now after that one, I kind of checked out after Unstoppable. It's kind of like a train. It's like Speed on a train. If you ever seen the movie Speed, it's kind of like Speed on a train. Good, yeah, good movie. He does great in it. I forget who the other actor is in it, but he does great. Now my story comes in with Safe House. So Safe House, I had no idea it was out. Anyway, it was opening night. I had no idea. Me and my buddy are getting, you know, blazed, and we are like, let's go to the movies. Let's just go to the movies. So we're like, what's playing? Oh, this is an action movie. Denzel's in it. Bam, let's go. We had no idea it's open night. We figured it'd been out, whatever. It's kind of one of those under the radar. And the movie is relatively forgettable. He plays with Ryan Reynolds in there. But anyway, we buy tickets, right? And we see this line outside the, like, where they cut the tickets or whatever. And so we just go up to that. We figured the movie we're going to there can't be a line for this. It isn't Star Wars. It isn't a Marvel of its time. It's just some, so the ticket cutter's like, yeah, that's the line. I said, what? Apparently, anytime a Denzel Washington movie comes out, opening night is crazy. Now, I know there's some stereotypes with going to movies when there's a big African-American crowd, but I personally love it. Especially when an action movie like this, I had a blast. People were going crazy before the movie. Anytime Denzel's on the screen, you got the ladies catcalling him. Anytime there's some crazy explosion, I love it. Now, some movies I don't like the talking, and usually there isn't in those types of movies, but like a Shawshank, a serious type movie. But I love a stupid action movie like Safe House. I don't even remember the movie. It was just a blast being in the theater. The energy was high. People were screaming, laughing, cheering. I love that, and I miss that. I miss that and going to the movies. That's a whole nother video of what the quarantine has done. But I love going to the movies and having fun, and that was such an experience. Anybody and I'm sure there's people watching this who have gone to Denzel movie opening night and always will go to a Denzel movie opening night. And I would have went to this new one opening night had we not had this lockdown. And plus, everybody's not allowed to sit next to each other, etc. and so forth. Anyway, absolute blast in the theater. I would love going to his movies. Now, I didn't go to any after that because they just seemed, I looked at the trailers and I just was like, okay. After Safe House and Unstoppable, he kind of gets into this old action guy role, because he's in these movies called The Equalizer. Now I know, when every time I see a movie that ends in ER, The Dominator, The Evador, I know it's, you know, kind of a paycheck movie. It's kind of the Taken phase. Taken was huge, great action movie, and they said, okay, let's take every leading man and throw him in there. I have no idea what The Equalizer about. It's probably, you know, his wife or daughter got kidnapped, or he's trying to get revenge on somebody for something, and he's just hunting them down. That's probably what that is. But listen, I fully respect that, and that ties in. And he was in Fences. That's a good little drama. You know, little play. He does his job. Nothing, again, not very rewatchable, but a good movie. In that run I talked about, he's shooting, for my basketball fans, Denzel is in that run. He's shooting 40 to 50 points a night, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. He's blowing them out of the water every night. He's putting up Kevin Durant, LeBron type numbers every night. Now, later on in his career, this is the first movie I've, actually I did watch his movie, Roman J. Israel Esquire. I watched that, you know, just, I feel like somebody just gave him some money and he took that. But yeah, he's later on in his career, he still knows how to act, but he's putting up more like 20, 24 a night, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, something like that. You know, good numbers, good game, but not his prime. And so that leads us, that's the run. Just want to talk about him and pay tribute to him. I think great artists should absolutely be acknowledged. He has great charisma on the screen, and that's what makes him great. He has great energy. He has acting chops. He's alpha male, so he's appealable to women and men. You can't not like him. He just brings an energy. I haven't ever heard anybody, when a Denzel conversation comes up, and saying he's a bad actor or he's overrated. He's rated exactly where he should be, one of the greatest. So The Little Things is directed by John Lee Hancock, stars Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. Plot is pretty cut and dry. There's a series of women who are being stalked by a serial killer, a psychopath. And he's specifically focusing on hunting women. And it's a dark movie. So first, pretty cut and dry plot, and then you have 2 cops that are trying to hunt him down. How it works is Denzel is kind of an older cop. He has some things happen to him. He got too involved being a cop, kind of dialed it down from being like a detective down to a deputy. Now he gets sucked into this case that's going on. Rami Malek plays his replacement. Now, we're going to get into that later and things I don't like. So for those of you not familiar, I talk about the plot a little bit, and I'm talking about things I like, things I don't like, then I'm going to rate the movie. But yeah, pretty cut and dry plot. And I think it goes, they're basically spending a lot of the movie trying to find out who it is. They're not sure who it is. They don't have any evidence. Rami Malek's getting a tough time, and Denzel has to go to the LAPD, who he used to work for. Now he's with these small-time people. He goes back to the LAPD to go get evidence, and he just gets tied into the case because the detective working the case, Rami Malek's character, is needing help. He's getting a hard time. I can't solve this case. There's no evidence. I have nothing. So he's getting in desperate mode. The movie is a lot about cops that are so dedicated to trying to be the avenger, being the angel and the person who finds the bad guy. And when they can't, they're conflicted with it. It hurts them. It affects their spirit. And that's pretty much what a lot of the movie is. Now, and they're just trying to hunt down the killer. So that's pretty much the plot, pretty cut and dry. So let's first talk about what I like. This is a movie of performances. And before I get into performance, I'll talk about little side things I like. So it takes place in 1990. So I like when movies, when you take, they split it in 1990, I'm pretty sure, to remove cell phones from the situation, which could have changed a few things in this movie. Early on in the movie, they do a little nod to Silence of the Lambs. I thought that was good, since this is a thriller type movie. Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs hunting women, so it kind of ties in. Denzel, things I like. I'm not, again, I said this before when I was going over just him and his career. And if you didn't watch that part of it, early on when he's in his prime, Malcolm X, He Got Game, Bone Collector, Training Day Mode, he's shooting 40, 50 points a night, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Now he's at a point in his career where he's still dropping 24, but he's dropping 24 points, giving you some rebounds, a few assists. Not a terrible game, but clearly not his prime. He knows what he's doing, and he does it well. Period. and that's what this is. It's not his best performance, but it's also, you know, it's a good performance. He's decent in it. Knocking it out of the park is Jared Leto. Jared Leto kept me in this movie. Now, when there's scenes with just Denzel, I'm in it. I'm like, okay, we'll all go along. I'm trying to follow the story. When there's Denzel and Rami Malek, I'm not feeling it. I get a little bit bored, and we're gonna go into that in things a second with things I didn't like. I got a little bit bored with those two. There's a little bit, I don't know. But anytime Jared Leto is on the screen, he is crushing it. Jared Leto is a method actor. He plays the character who they're following as the killer, who gives you every indication that he is a killer. He collects crime books. He collects news clippings of these murders. He has no eyebrows. He just looks grungy. I think he even got a pot belly. He just looks like a frumpy lunatic. And he plays it to the T. Now, if you haven't seen, if you don't know about Jared Leto, he played Joker in Suicide Squad. I know he gets a hard time for that. I think, personally, just a little side rant, I think he's a fine Joker. I don't think he was utilized well in that movie. They cut a lot of his scenes, and I think that's a problem. His best movie, in my opinion, is Requiem for a Dream. Not a very rewatchable movie, but his performance is undeniably good. And like a lot of great artists, just like I talked about with Denzel, early on in your career, I think you get the best performance from artists because they're putting it all out on the line, because it's all or nothing. And Jared Leto is the winner of this movie for me. You could tell he was on set walking around. He was just awkward in this movie. He gave this character felt like a bad guy. It felt like a bad guy. Now, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but watch it. I'm going to do spoilers in a second. And I'll put up a thing on the thing when there's spoilers. But Jared Leto was fantastic. Next, we want to talk about things I didn't like. I know this is probably going to hurt some people, but I did not like Rami Malek in this movie. And I haven't seen a lot of him, but I am not a fan. And I could tell he's a good actor. I think he's miscast. He looks like a 17-year-old boy being a detective. And when you're on screen with Denzel Washington, when he's by himself, it felt awkward because he looks young. And he has a small stature. Now, if I was in a movie, I would get the same vibe from me. That's why I shouldn't be in a movie like that. His stature he's very thin. He's short. Like, I need a domineering performance for a detective. When you're on screen with Denzel Washington, one, he blew him off the screen acting wise. Like, Rami Malek played the whole game. He put up 12 points, something like that. Just not very impressive evening, and I just didn't buy him as the character. Again, I think he's a good actor. A little bit miscast. Something about his face I just don't like. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I just didn't buy it. And the other part I didn't really like about the movie is it kind of lulls in the middle. It just kind of goes nowhere. Like, starts out, you're like this, and then it just kind of flatlines. And that's, people that watch the movie know what I'm talking about. In my opinion, you could probably cut out 10 to 15 minutes of this movie. All right, so I'm going to talk about spoilers real quick before I get my rankings. So I'm going to put up something on the screen right now. The movie is very ambiguous. We don't really get a defined definition of who the killer is. It's basically, there's Rami Malek's character at the end of the movie ends up clocking Jared Leto's character, the lunatic, and killing him. And ends up burying him out in this place where he's being provoked. And Denzel helps him cover it up. They think he's the killer. We're not 100%. It could have been this other guy, or it could have been, we don't even know. It's very ambiguous. And I actually like that part of the movie. I didn't get into that in the part of the review because I didn't want to spoil it. But yeah, so that's the end. It's this conflict of cops. It's the battle of being a good guy. Yeah, overall, I like the movie. I watched it on HBO Max, so I'm going to talk about, once the review's over, I'm going to talk about, streaming. And I have some news for my Game of Thrones fans, so we're going to get into that in a second. Because I watched this on HBO Max. It was recommended. I believe Shimoni Ray recommended it. Also, my cousin texted me and recommended it, so thank you to them. I watched it on HBO Max. Now, normally I'm someone who likes to watch movies in the theater, but because I got it on HBO Max, I watched it last night when I got off work at 11, and then I watched it this morning because it warranted a rewatch. And because, why not? I have the opportunity to rewatch it, why not? So I would rank this movie, if I'm doing the stars, 3 out of 5 stars. a decent movie. Definitely something, if you like all these actors, watch it. If you like Rami Malek in the movie, that's fine. This didn't buy. I've never seen Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't know. I don't know. I can tell he's a good actor, but there's just something. He seems a little bit too sweet to be a gritty character. You know, he needs to be in the more teen of boyfriend movie. But definitely a rewatchable movie. Fun, good little flick. All right, now going on a little side story. Like I was saying, this is my first time streaming. People that know me, know my channel, know I like going to the theater. I prefer to go to the theater. Now, I could have went to the theater, but I got off work at night, wanted to watch this. I didn't want to have a tight schedule. I can watch it at home. Why not? Let me just get into it. And that's what I did. And so I'm warming up to the streaming. I'm warming up to it. So I got HBO Max now, something I absolutely recommend to people out there. Great. It has a lot of big catalog of movies, shows. And that gets me into Game of Thrones. Shimoni Ray, one of my long-time subscribers, and always has kind words, comments, and contributions to the channel, has been begging me to watch Game of Thrones. I have HBO Max, and I was like, we got a set schedule now with the channel. Friday, we're going to have my vlogs, those type of videos. Sunday, I'm going to be putting out my movie skits, and Monday, today, well, it's not Monday when I'm filming this, but you know, you get the picture. Monday is when we are going to be talking about movies. So like, I need to film something in on a Saturday, but I don't know if I have enough time to film. What can I do? Live. So every Saturday, I would say I get off work late, but I'm going to be doing 11:30. We're going to watch at least 1 to 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. I'll leave the episodes up after. I'll try to keep my language to a T. I'm obviously going to have to wear it with a headphone. So if you want to watch along with me, if you have HBO Max, if you have the series of Game of Thrones, watch with me. I've never seen it. I know it's a big thing. I've just never committed, and I'm going to do it now. Every Saturday, we'll be watching Game of Thrones. So if you want to join me for that, I know a lot of people have probably already watched it, but if you want to hear my reaction, I would love for you to join me. Yeah, I'm excited. I like the lives. I like, you know, we'll interact, have fun. We'll talk about other stuff, whatever. But you can see my live reaction to Game of Thrones. But guys, thank you so much for joining me today for this first episode of Monday Movie Talk and a review of The Little Things. Let me know what you thought of the movie if you did see it. Let me know if you're planning on seeing it. And also, let me know your favorite Denzel movie if you like this format. Now, in regards to the background, I'm going in a bit of transition and trying to fill out my background, paint a wall. I do have a setup in mind. Just wanted to get this review out, so we got a little basic setup here today. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's nice to be back here and talk about movies with y'all. I will see y'all again next week, next Monday, for another review. Next Sunday, we'll have another movie skit up, and this Friday, I will have a new vlog video. But I hope you guys take care. Be well. See y'all soon.